Hey, Vault Dwellers. Sign of Life here, coming to you from the wasteland. Today we're gonna talk about the Vault-Tec Corporation, also known as Vault-Tec for a lot of you. The Vault-Tec Corporation, also known as Vault-Tec, was a pre-war defense corporation which won federal government contracts to design and implement a network of bunkers known as vaults with the stated intent of preserving a small fraction of U.S. population. By the time of the Great War, it was the largest corporate company in America, valued at an estimated $1 trillion with stakes in countless industries and businesses. Its wealth gave it immense sway against the United States government, rendered broke by the decade-long Sino-American War. These political and economic factors caused the company to deem the USA a failed nation and shift priorities. The lack of confidence in the United States was great, so that one executive, Barb Howard, entertained the idea of the Vault-Tec instigating the Great War themselves to wipe the slate clean and usher in a new world free of war. Project Safe House was redesigned to ensure the survival of the company at all costs rather than the survival of America, with the vast majority of vaults being used to test the development of a perfect society under varying experimental conditions. In the spirit of competition, other corporate leaders were invited to contribute ideas and take control of their own vaults for, for post-apocalyptic monopolies. The Enclave was also deeply affiliated with Vault-Tec and its Vault program, and saw the Vault experiments as a key of the great plan for their own survival. The company itself became defunct due to the nuclear war, with most vaults failing to safeguard their populations, and desired by surface dwellers as results for the rich. However, select junior employees of the Vault-Tec survived well into the late 23rd century through cryostasis in Vault 31 as part of Ashkin's Askin's personal experiment to conquer the future in Vault-Tec's name. They are currently the only known active remnant of Vault-Tec. The company is sometimes referred to as Vault-Tec and Volt-Tec, though it has consistently been spelled as Vault-Tec since Fallout 3. It is also occasionally written as Vault-Tec, although in both instances of this, it is likely to be a All right, let's get into the origins now. America's permanent nuclear defense corporation existed as early as 2031 when it acquired and rebranded Morgantown's local college as a Vault-Tec University. With some of their top executives and scientists either teaching or graduating from there, this investment in cadre would pay off in the early 2050s when the Euro Middle Eastern War, the new plague, and the collapse of the United States resulted in a nationwide scare. The government set Project Safe House in motion in 2054. This massive national defense endeavor was intended to create shelters that would protect the population in an event of nuclear wars, famines, pandemics, floodings, or asteroid strikes. Vault-Tec proclaimed pre-readiness for any eventuality following the success of its demonstration vaults built near their headquarters in Los Angeles at the time. The company won the bid for the construction of the shelters, the tremendous success of the company allowed it to build a new headquarters in Washington, D.C. The impoverished government financed the project with junk bonds, and even then only commissioned 122 of these shelters nationwide, allowing less than 0.01% of the population to save their life in the event of the Holocaust. Vault 13's budget was $400 billion by the end of its construction. The total cost reached $645 billion, well over 150% of initial figure. The staggering cost was further increased by the circumstances as crucial elements of national defense. Much of the project was declassified and protected under the new Amid Espionage Act, and the corporation received broad privileges enforcing security up to and including authorizing for its private security to use lethal force if vaults are activated. Lack of oversight led to constant mismanagement and corruption and embezzlement, defining Project Safe House before the war, even before taking the atrocities vault experiments into account. Yet, for all these problems, Vault-Tec was able to create a number of cutting-edge technologies and develop shelters that legitimately protected the inhabitants. Some of these miracles manifested as breakthroughs in construction technology, allowing for these gargantuan bunkers to be constructed at a rapid pace. Most were completed by 2063, although the construction of several vaults was delayed precariously. Vault 13, which only started construction in August of 2063, and the network surrounding Washington, D.C. Some vault constructions was delayed due to work stoppage. Despite these problems, Vault-Tec began advertising vaults in newly annexed Canada. Though these were in the early stages of completion, furthermore, partnerships with other corporations followed, such as Robco Industries, which provided personal information processors for vault dwellers. Their joint venture was considered the most successful of its kind, licensed by Bud Askins, Senior Junior Vice President and Manager of HR R&D for Vault-Tec. Integration with emission systems ensured they were a prominent element of the vault infrastructure. Over the course of the Sino-American War, Vault-Tec became the largest company in the United States. And to maintain their power and influence, a group of high-ranking executives took the step to ensure the resource wars would continue, such as by acquiring and burying cold fusion research led by Lee Maldaver. The Sentinel Preservation Program, headed by Stanislaus Brune, the Socialist Prohibition Program was Vault-Tec scientific programs for its vaults with the goal of studying and survival of humanity under extreme experimental conditions, with some ingredient elements of finding the humans most fit to survive. The developing new scientists and technology to help improve post-war society under Vault-Tec's guidance. Aside from a mere 17 control vaults, all of the other vaults were designed to have some sort of experiment to be carried out on it and its residents. Some experiments were passive or relatively benign, like Vault 101, which was simply intended to never open. Some of the most benign experiments was even advertised to the public, like those of Vault 4 advertised on television and Vault 22 promoted on a sign outside the vault. Some were well intended but had unethical or terrible consequences for their residents, like Vault 81, research for a universal cure. The worst were downright sadistic, like Vault 106, where psychoactive drugs were pumped into the air infiltration system to lethal effects. Finally, some experiments were simply bizarre, such as Vault 43, which held 30 human residents as one panther, or Vault 77, a population of one man and a crate of puppets. Oh my god. Just funny things like that. To the program's backers, loss of life was considered meaningless in the face of data that could be acquired. Ethically concerns were dismissed by the researchers as counterproductive and close-minded. Thus far, all known experiments in the vaults were either designed and administered directly by Stanislaus Braun and his team, or through the proposal of independent Vault-Tec executives like Hugo Strauss and Bud Ashkins. Public, private, and secret bunkers. While Project Safehouse itself was funded under contract by the federal government, the government was not the Vault's program's only bunker. In fact, only one known vault was designed specifically with the government in mind. Vault 79, built in to contain the gold reserves of the United States Bullion Depository. With the Vault-Tec itself coming to view the U.S. and its government as a liability, it turned to other sources to collaborate on the less savory parts of the Vault program. As the resource wars dragged on and the result of the total nuclear annihilation increased, members of the Enclave invested into various contingency measures to survive the coming war. Funded by corporate and government money, these installations would enable the Enclave to continue waging war even after the United States ceased to exist. The Enclave was involved in Project Safehouse and access to all the data from the Social Prevention Program, which they intended to use to facilitate their own survival. While their level of involvement in the vault design process is unclear, the Enclave did have some level of monitoring and communications access to some, if not all, all vaults, including a facility called the Enclave Vault Research Control, which they would come to use to exploit the vault's population for their post-war efforts. The Enclave ultimate plans for this program were grander than restoring or conquering a world devastated by nuclear war. They wanted to use data harvest from the experiments to create a multi-generational starship to resettle on another world. Although Vault-Tec and Enclave both saw the Vault experiments as a way to study potential human survival, Vault-Tec's own priorities differed for those of the Shadow sponsor. For one, Vault-Tec executives such as Barb Howard and Bud Askins saw the imminent nuclear war as an opportunity to wipe the slate clean and redefine mankind in their own vision, with the vaults used to experimentally determine the perfect condition for humanity. In what Howard termed a spirit of competition, the idea was pitched to figure from the largest, potentially like-minded corporations in the U.S., including Big MT, Repcon, Aerospace, Robco, and West-Tec, who were offered the opportunity to claim a stake in several vaults and create their own social experiments for their own chance at a post-apocalyptic monopoly to ensure that the experiments would happen. Howard floated the idea of these mega corporations instigating the nuclear war deliberately, allowing an internally designed society arise from the ashes. Configured to eliminate friction, confliction, and ultimate war. Bud himself would carry out a personal contingency plan to ensure Vault-Tec's post-war dominance via the 3 vaults in Los Angeles. All right. Regardless of her proposal, the corporation acted elsewhere to ensure its own homogeny after the Great War. Vault-Tec facilities such as Vault 63 and Vault 88 were designed with the intentions of creating technologies that would be used by all Vault-Tec vaults to help establish better post-war society under their guidance. And vault programs not designed directly by Braun or his team were approved only if their research could benefit Vault-Tec's positions. Secret orders were issued to the overseers to directly oppose the government if the Enclave, the overseer of Vault 76, would interdict to seize control of the Appalachia automated launch system and wrest nuclear weapons from the military. Although this varied, some vaults even rejected the Enclave's claim authority, although in favor of their Vault-Tec directives. Imminent nuclear war. Naturally, these plans was not publicized, and Vault-Tec was voted a company with the brightest future in the United States in January 2077. And its stock value quickly soared following the Battle of Anchorage due to the annexation anxiety surrounding a potential nuclear confrontation. Vault-Tec capitalized on this, offering single vault space for sale. Some Americans realized the gravity of the situation as a private company to whom the government outsourced the entirety of contingency plan. It had prudency's responsibilities to its investors to make money. Any peaceful solution to the resource wars, and especially the Sino-American War, would eliminate the specter of nuclear war and wipe out the need for vaults. Hurting the corporation's profits, these preserve incidents resulted in Vault-Tec having a very reason to see the war continue, or even see nuclear war erupt, especially since the government was broke and powerless in compassion with the company. Indeed, peace talks between the U.S. and China after the Battle of Anchorage significantly hurt Vault-Tec sales projections, which incentivized them to take more direct action. Despite the ongoing popularity of the vaults, drills in the completed vaults slowly created a cry wolf effect among the population. Turnouts for the drills fell over, limited the vaults' future role in ensuring the survival of the humanity. Stressful of the Vault-Tec's plans. Worker stoppage, civil unrest, and other problems also affected the implementation of the experiment plans. When the Great War happened on October 23rd, 2077, several vaults were yet to be completed, while the cry wolf effect resulted in just a fraction of people going to the vaults, while the Enclave grand plans were undone by circumstances and interference from within. The grade of the master plan, the White Springs, was cut off from the network and plans crippled regardless. Most of the vaults populated and sealed as scheduled, with enough personnel to carry out their experimental plans. The vaults used by Vault-Tec more independent executives were among these number. Bud Eskin's plans largely succeeded with enough of a population in Vault 31, 32, and 33 to process, while Hugo Stoll's sprawling Vault 63 was unfinished, but successfully protected enough of its population for their work to continue post-war. However, the actual loss of life fell short of the projected 90%, and survivors started resettling on the surface, including vaults. In 2091, after receiving the all-clear signal, Vault 8 opened and Vault City was founded. A year later, the demonstration vault in the ruins of Los Angeles opened, and the uninhabitants found Utterum in what would become known as the Boneyard. As a result, the ambition plan of executives who used the nuclear war to wipe the slate clean and redefine society never came to pass. Many vaults failed over the next few centuries, whether due to the total population dying or leaving, or simply due to the experiments being subverted. While facilities of the defunct megacorporation became little more than prime source of salvage, this led to the vaults being considered tall tales or luxuries that benefited only the most privileged as results. Vault 31 and its junior executives remained sealed underground, while the surface preserved with the new California Republic, becoming the first post-war nation state. However, the shadow of Vault-Tec did not disappear. After Rose McLean fled Vault 32, discovering the NCR's existence, she inevitably set in motion a chain of events that would circumvent in the destruction of Shady Sands by her ex-husband Hank McLean, sending the Republic into free fall. The primary focus of Vault-Tec was the development of line of nuclear war defense installations and technology necessary for their construction, although most recognizable product remains the vulnerable vault. The company was also developed cheaper alternatives like the Series 1000 shelter and constructed its technologies out to other entitles, requiring a reliable, proven pipeline for constructing subterranean bunkers. Apart from heavy construction and technologies necessary for sustaining a population underground, Vault-Tec has also developed nuclear reactors, medicine devices such as the organ extractor, motion sensors based on Watt's electronics designs, and even the SimTech 5000 virtual reality simulation suit for stunning vault dwellers with the outside. And the Vault-Tec assisted targeting system for facing any threats. Other proprietary inventions were designed to improve the quality of life for a vault dweller, including Simonson lighting, Fluorsuck auto cleaner systems, Clarinator 3000 kitchen system, Anotanotron rooms, and eye on your surveillance cameras. Vault technology at its best was generally reliable and of a high quality, leading to a widespread adaptation. However, Vault-Tec outsourced many critical elements of the vault infrastructure, selecting the slowest bidder to minimize profits. And most notorious examples were water chips. Some of these outsourcing led to lead partnerships with Robco Industries, providing Pip-Boys, forming The most successful joint venture in history, General Atomics supplied nuclear reactors where Vault-Tec couldn't, while Radiation King provided TV sets and other appliances for the vaults. For the majority unable or ineligible to purchase a space in the vaults, Vault-Tec Budge Tech Division developed a several additional cost efficiencies alternatives, including the company's most humane product, Plan D, banana flavored cyanide. Whoa. Thank you for watching the video today and have a good day.